Hey, what's up? This is Neil from MasterPayNow.com, and I want to talk a little bit about something here. So, what's the difference between art generation, which this is not, and professional art that you can sell? This is a high resolution image, 4,000 pixels tall, print ready, you know, to client specifications, awesome, immaculate detail. This is what they want, this is what they paid for, right? And so how can you get commissions like this? What's the difference between simply generating art and using AI as an assistant? And so I'm going to kind of just briefly explain that. So when you go and you generate art, you're going to get something like this. So if you use something like Midjourney, for example, so if you go to Midjourney and you generate art with something, you say, hey, I want a comic art Jury Street Fighter in a fighting pose, leg raised, bent, and you're trying to get this pose that the client wants, and it doesn't do it. Now, these are kind of interesting pieces, but they need a lot of work to be final pieces, but it doesn't matter because none of these are to the client specifications. None of these are Yuri from Street Fighter or Jury. None of them are wearing her outfit. Like, this is not going to fly. Also, they wanted her with Japan meadows in the background. This is not going to work. So, okay, so we take and we use an image like this and we tell Midjourney, use that image and our prompt, and it still doesn't get us close. It's still not using her outfit, nothing like that. So then we're left with having to do some image to image type stuff or even using ControlNet. But even then, you're not going to get to the exact result you want, because if you go and you try to use this image and you tell it to generate something, and let's see here, let's go back to a prompt that I had before. Trying to go back to one where I actually had a prompt. Here we go. So I have this prompt here. I'm doing it at a larger size. We use this image and we're telling it to do this other image. I'm even telling it Japan in the background, but it doesn't do it because it's trying to follow this image. So I'm like, okay, let's follow the image less and follow my prompt more. And we're still not going to get there, right? So we're not going to get the Japanese background. We don't have the right composition. We have the right art style, but it's also not Jury. Look at the hair's not right. I mean, nothing's right here. Even if we go back to this one, it's closer to her, but it's still not accurate. Like, the outfit's totally inaccurate. You'd have to do a lot of work to this just to get the character to look proper with the right outfit. And then you'd have to do a background still on top of that. And that's just too much work. My technique is way easier. But anyway, we can see that art generation is just not going to get us there. We're not going to get what the client wants. And look at these hands. These are ugly as hell. Like, that's not going to fly. So the client's not going to pay for that. So how do we make it the way I did it? How did I get this result here? Well, let's look at how I did it. So the first thing is I do a quick sketch. So in this case, I'm just kind of do a quick sketch, make sure everything's kind of working. I did this really fast. You can take more time on this part here, depending on like what you're trying to go for. For the most part, though, the AI is not going to stick perfectly to it anyway. So you might have to exaggerate what you want more. If you want her leaning back more, then really exaggerate that. I'm kind of adding the outfit in now. All right, so just a quick sketch. Then I go ahead underneath this on another layer and I do the fills. Just really quickly to get the right colors for the outfit. Just gives an AI something to work with so that they can get closer to what you're trying to get. Then I go over that with final inks. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want like a more kind of, ink line drawing style. Then I just do a quick background here, and this is because I wanted to see what happens if I put this into Invoke AI and I try to just generate a good background first. And so that's the backgrounds it generated for me, and none of those are going to work. So I can see that it's kind of, turning this right, but I have it on way too high of a strength right now because I'm trying to just do the background first. And if I can get a cool background out of this, sometimes I'll use that. But in this case, it's just not quite what I want. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the background separately. And so I go ahead and do a couple generations. I then put that background into my art program, put it behind my sketch. And now I have my sketch on this background. Also, what this technique does is it's going to make it pull from that background style more. So even though I'm going to start on a lower resolution, not lower, I'm not on a lower resolution, but also I'm at a lower image strength over here. So it's going to stick more to what's already there. but it's going to naturally try to match this to this. So even though my drawing was like super fast and like cartoony, it's going to try to match it more to this background illustrated type. And so you can already see it starting to get rid of some of the line work. See how some of the line work in here is not nearly as detailed? And again, if you don't want the line work, you can do it different, where you do it more like painterly style for the beginning style there. And so there you go. So we're getting pretty close. And then, oh, and by the way, I teach an entire course on how to do all these. I teach a bunch of different techniques that actually allow you to create very specific characters like this that we're doing, this Street Fighter character. It'll allow you to create very specific characters to clients' needs and also even do revisions as they ask for them, because they will probably ask for revisions, and where you can actually get paid to do this kind of work. And so here I'm just going in with the ink brush, and then I'm using my my blender brush here. And if you kind of like, the blender brush is kind of like you start with the color you want and kind of push toward the color you don't want. And that's kind of how that blender brush works. And it kind of just helps you blend those colors together. It's a really nice brush. Anyway, all my brushes are free at masterpaintingnow.com, so go check them out. So I'm just going through here and just refining everything to make sure it's sticking to the original idea, because it kind of messed some things up. And AI is always going to do that, and that's fine. Well, maybe not always. Maybe in the future they'll fix it. But so I'm just going through and making sure everything's right, adding the little divots there, or the studs, going through adding toes, changing the foot to where it's right. This one as well. Now that does require some artistic skill, like you have to be able to draw, some feet and stuff. And for that, I recommend taking my anatomy course, either the 3D one or the other one or both, and then definitely take my fundamentals of drawing anything course. But you can also show other techniques you can use to still achieve a final result that your client wants, even if you're not good at drawing hands and feet and stuff. I show you how you can like bring in parts of 3D models that's free to use, like Daz Studio, and then how you can easily kind of transform that over with a couple techniques. But here I'm just redrawing the hand and the glove. Then I'll go back over this with AI again, and that's why I'm kind of keeping it sloppy, because I know I'm gonna run over it with AI. And that's what's so cool is that, so like one of the things I love to do is I love to like do these kinds of sketches, like this kind of sloppy sketch is really fun for me, and then to be able to like take that and turn it to artwork pretty fast is quite amazing to me. So I basically, using AI, I'm able to do the stuff I like to do and not do the stuff I don't like to do. I don't like to render. I find rendering very boring. Like rendering all those details would take so long. I can do it if I have good references, and I could just use this to make good references, and I can even do like a physical painting, whatever, based on that reference. But it takes so many hours, like 10 hours to do something like this. Whereas with this technique, I can do it in like 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. It just depends on the complexity of the character. I think this one, the original sketch, took me like 35 or 40 minutes. And then going with all the colors and everything, and then going into doing all the rest of the technique, I think took another hour or so. So right around a little under 2 hours, I think, is what it took me for this one. So all I did there is I made a mask, and then quick mask, and the quick mask in PaintStorm basically is like turns into a quick selection, but using the mask, so you can like draw basically your selection. And then I go into the color options here and I change the color. So bam, now I have her outfit all done. And I'll do one final pass with AI, but now I'm going to go ahead and fix the hair and just make sure all that matches. And then let's go to this final part here. All right, so we're at the final stretch here. And again, I teach so many cool techniques in my course on masterpaintnow.com. I also link to it in the description. So just click on that. I have it on sale right now for only $13, so grab it, because normally it's like $130. And so I'm just doing very basic drawing here. I'm not spending my time trying to make it look perfect, because I'm going to have AI make perfect. So I take it back to AI, and now I upscale it so that way I have a higher resolution to work with here. And now I'm going to tell it that I want this to be Jury from Street Fighter, and I want it to be spiral hair. So I'll change the prompt over there. Boom, now I have it spiral hair. And I could go in and just select the individual areas, like just select this area and tell it spiral hair, this area spiral point, and I can really refine that if I wanted to, but I wasn't really worried about it for this tutorial. But I could definitely do that. I went over that area one time just to kind of, smooth out all the painting and smooth out all the marks so it looks nice and it kind of starts adding some proper shading and stuff. The face is looking good, but I'm going to actually change the face by I'm going to do it one more time with a super high resolution, and I go back and forth using like Nicole Kidman and then using Jury from Street Fighter to get it how I want it to. Using actors and actresses that kind of look like your character really comes in handy. Now I'm going back into my paint program, just kind of adding these little divots, or whatever they are, the studs. And then I'm going to add the straps. And I'm going to add, using my pencil brush, add just a quick, which is more like a paintbrush, add some of the shadowing there. By the way, all my brushes are free, so you can download my brushes by just joining my newsletter at masterpaintnow.com. Just click on the newsletter and you'll see there it tells you how to download the brushes. And they're free for PaintStorm. PaintStorm's awesome. This is my favorite program to use, and I'm not sponsored by them, although they did have me create some tutorials for them. And originally, they actually were trying to work with me on a sponsorship, but they were just asking a lot out of me. I didn't want to create an entire course and stuff, which I ended up doing anyway, which is on my Udemy thing, a free course for PaintStorm. So check that out too. If you want to learn this software, I have an entire free course. So just click on my website, go to any of my courses, and then click on me on Udemy. It'll take you to my Udemy course, and then click on me, and then you'll see my other courses. And one of my courses is teaching how to paint in PaintStorm, and it's a free course. So anyway, this is only $20. You own it for life, free updates. It's amazing. It has the best paint engine, in my opinion. I've tried a lot of different softwares over the years from, and I constantly go back and try new versions of them, like the Painter and all that. This blows Painter away, in my opinion. It's just so good at what it does. And I use this for inking, for pencil sketching, for coloring, for painting. It's just the best. But, try it out, see for yourself. And so that was almost the final version. And I'm just showing you some other things here with the Midjourney there. But let's go back and look at the final version again. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. All right, so let's look at a couple of things I did here really fast. So what I did is I took it back in at this high resolution, which is about 4,000 pixels tall, and I redid the face. And I'm like, that looks pretty good, but she still looks a little bit manly to me. So this is where I decided to add some Nicole Kidman. I said young Nicole Kidman. I changed the style a little bit up here to Experience 70. Then I'm going to go back to my other one I usually use. And I'm like, that looks too much like Nicole Kidman. Let's go and add just Jury again. Oh, Jury. And I'm like, okay, that's looking pretty good. And now it's nice and high resolution as well. Then I decided to go ahead and run it over this and run it over this belt a couple times so I can get some nice shading on the belt. So it's basically refining what I already had there. And there we go. And so then that gives us to this final thing here. And you can see it really refined the belt, added some small little wrinkles and stuff in here, added some nice, gentle shading. It kind of changed the studs here. It added some more shading to the studs here. Kind of just changed a little bit of stuff here and there. Add some more highlights in here. Overall looking nice. Yeah, so there you go. I also ran over the hands. I could run over the hands a couple more times, see if it add more, more dynamic and shading and stuff. But I kind of like how this looks. Looks nice. But if I wanted to, I can run it over a few more times and try to get it to add more detail to it. And everything else looks good. And unfortunately, you can't see the very bottom in this because it's not letting me go zoom out far enough, but you saw it in the other one. So, all right, there you go. It's cutting off her foot for you guys. But if I go back to here really fast, you can kind of see it this way. Let's go back to here. And there you go. You can kind of see it like that. And if I were to go like this, I can zoom in so you can see the foot and everything. I could put a couple of little strands of grass in front of her toes. That might actually look better too. Those are final little things I decide on, before I give it off to the client. You can see her face looking nice. And I would probably go ahead and lighten this up a little bit so it's a little bit more white in there. And I usually do a final pass painting on the eyes by hand. But other than that, everything's looking pretty rock solid. And so that's the final image right there. So that's some of the differences between AI generation and what I do using AI as an assistant. So as of right now, and who knows when AI will ever catch up to where it can actually follow instructions to the point where You can just give it some examples, some point it to some images online, and then give a good description of what your client wants, and then bam, it makes it. But that might be a ways away before AI can ever do that. And until then use this technique that I teach to help clients out. And once that happens, and people know how to do it themselves, no one is really going to hire people to do art anymore. It's going to kind of be like, once there were easy ways to make your own website, no one hired people to do websites anymore. Like the website business just crumbled because everyone can just do it themselves. And the only thing you would hire people to do is like really complicated stuff like databases and things like that that was just too difficult to do on your own. And it's going to be like that with art, I think, in the near future here. Once AI gets to that point where it can generate something like this with just a couple instructions and a couple art examples, and it can just generate what the client wants, then the client will, once the clients learn they can do that themselves, they're not going to hire artists anymore. They're going to be like, why would I hire an artist when I can get my book cover made or whatever I want made by just talking to AI a little bit? Like once they learn how to do that, then it's just going to be like, who, if they're not that good at talking to AI, then they might hire someone to talk to AI for them. So hey, I'm going to hire you to make this cool image with AI because you know how to talk to AI properly to get the end result that I want. But yeah, so I have a feeling once AI gets to that point, artists and being hired for doing commissions and stuff is not going to be very popular. But for now, it still is. So you can't get something like this as I just showed you. You just can't do this with generation, right? You have to be able to work with AI as an assistant to do this. So yeah, check out my course, learn how to do it, and then you could start getting clients. I've actually been getting a lot of commissions lately. And I'll be posting this piece on my DeviantArt, so check that out. My DeviantArt is listed in the description of this video, and I have a bunch of other cool art there that I can't show because it's nudity. But if you like cool characters, like if you want to see her nude, I'll probably do a nude version of her, or at least a topless version of her. So yeah, go check it out. And if you want a commission done by me, if you just find all this is just too much, but you have a cool character you want, a cool idea you want, maybe you have a book cover you want, or whatever it is, let me know. I have a Fiverr there, so go to my DeviantArt. You can see I do commissions, and I link to my Fiverr, and go check out my Fiverr. And it's only $50, so for one character. All right, that's it for now. Go ahead, hit that like button, all that stuff, because it helps algorithms. You know the deal. Until next time.